Hi, it's Alistair at Electric Scotland. I'm doing this video really because I've been reading that so many people with self-isolating this coronavirus pandemic going on that a lot of them are starting to learn to cook all over again. So I thought it would be an opportune time to talk to you a little bit about our own food and drink section on Electric Scotland. Basically, if you look at the top menu, you'll see food and drink. And if you click on that, it'll come up and say food and drink and Scottish recipes. And to set the scene, I thought I'd give you I think it's about a 10-minute video at the top. It says, from the beef farmer feeding his herd in grassy rural Aberdeenshire to the salmon farmer nurturing smolts in the cool, clear waters of the North Atlantic, to the master blender perfecting a combination of single malt and grain whisky in a Highland distillery, Scotland's food and drink producers are blessed to work with beautiful, unspoilt landscapes, fertile land, clean air and clean waters. Scotland truly is the world's land of food and drink. I thought it was quite a charming little video that, and I just thought that might set the scene for the section. And then as you come down, we've got Electric Scotland's own recipes. These are ones that I personally have collected and added to the site. And I will say amongst them, you've got Scotland's champion clouty dumpling recipe, and I will challenge you all to have a go at it and to send me a photograph of it and tell me what you think of it. It'd be really interesting to hear, but certainly I think clouty dumpling, my mother used to make it regularly or fairly regularly, and I mean you when it was kind of warm and everything hot, used to serve a slice it with custard as a dessert, but we could also just take a slice and eat it as it was. Sometimes you maybe sprinkle a little sugar on it. Other times you'd take it cold and put butter on it. And other times you'd fry a slice up to have for your breakfast, with your bacon and eggs in the morning, or a high tea, for example. So, all in all, we've also got a one that I make quite regularly, is Jiffy Bread. It's like a fruit cake, but it's very simple, very easy, and if you stick precisely to the measurements and precisely to the temperature and timing of the oven, it'll always come out perfect, no problem at all. I kind of forgot it one time and it went maybe a few minutes over, and it was certainly not as good as being precisely at the right time. So I'm just warning you about that. If you follow it precisely, it's going to come out great and you can enjoy it. And usually I like to put a wee bit of butter on when I had a slice. Then we've got visitors' recipes, and these are visitors to our website. They're having read our own Electric Scotland recipes. They've said I just thought you might like to get my favourite recipe for whatever it was. So there are lots of contributors on that one. In fact, we've got a new recipe for you this week in the newsletter, which Beth Gay has sent in. Because she was talking to me on the phone, the month there, and she was saying she was in the middle of making this potato and beef casserole. And she said, I'll send you the recipe, because she said it's one of our favourite recipes, so that was good. So you might explore the recipes we've got, our own. Then I've got Wartime Farm. This is from the BBC on YouTube. And I will say, when I was checking through this site before I thought I'd read it all to you, I thought I'd just better check that everything was working the way it should. And I must confess, I had originally it was the Victorian kitchen, but that series is no longer available on YouTube, and I can't find it anywhere. So it looks like it's gone. There might be wee snippets of it somewhere, but the actual series itself has gone, unfortunately. So I replaced it with a wartime farm, because not only did it show you how farming was done in the wartime, but also what meals they cooked. So there's a kind of mixture there, and I thought you might well enjoy that. I've also got Home and Farm Food Preservation. This is a 1918 book, but in actual fact it's, how can I put it? It's part of crofting, because I personally am very interested in crofting and how to kind of live on a small plot of land, basically. And I thought part of that is how to preserve food, so that in times of scarcity, like obviously Canadian winters, for example, snow on the ground, you need means and methods of preserving food to take you through these winter periods. And again, I thought to myself, well, more people are partly gardening now, so they'll want to find a way of preserving what they've grown. So I think that might be an interesting wee book for you to have a read at. And I say, talking about books, we've got a unique one here, Stories and Stovies. This unique book by Charlotte Blah. Charlotte was brought up in Dundee, and I think she left when she was 8 years of age and taken to America, where she has since done her life. She's married, had kids, and she's now got grandkids. But her grandmother died in Dundee, and she wanted to go back for the funeral. When she was back, she revisited all her old haunts from her 8-year-old kind of memories of things. And really, it's one of the best books we've got on the site, because not only does she talk about things she remembered, she gives us wee nursery rhymes and things, because she remembers them being recited to her, and she's since recited them to her children and grandchildren. And she's put wee recipes in throughout the book, so it's a kind of really chatty way. And I have read it several times myself, because it's just, you get to the point where you think, I just want to connect with the past a bit, and that's really great. And certainly if you come from Dundee, I think you'll really enjoy that. And then we've got a collection of books for recipes. It's like we've got Oona Flood's recipes. It's sent in by Donna Flood, a relation. Donna's also sent in some of her newer recipes that she's created more recently. She's looking at recipes from a frugal standpoint, because obviously after the 2008 kind of financial crash, a lot of people didn't have much money at all, and this was the way of keeping you fed but not costing too much. I've also got Jeanette's recipe collection. She's particularly into teas. She loves giving tea parties. So if you fancy giving a tea party, you're going to really enjoy her section. Gets you lots of great recipes and pictures and everything. And then I collaborated with her on doing cooking for kids. These were simple recipes that the kids could make, maybe with the mother there as in supervision board, or father for that matter. And then I have the Practice of Cookery up. This is an old recipe book adapted to the business of everyday life by Mrs. Dalgrain, which was published in 1840, would you believe? So again, a real good historical look at food. Whiskey, obviously a page about whiskey. I think it's quite a good page. It starts off giving you a 3-part documentary from the BBC, all about an hour long, I think, if I remember rightly. So they're really good. I would say when I was checking it that had gone again from YouTube, but I did another search and I found them again. So I've just replaced them. So I know they work today, Will it work tomorrow, of course, is anyone's guess. And then I have another one, it's all about tea. This is learn about its history and how to give a tea party. So that might be good fun. Then I've got Potluck, the British home cookery book, with over 1,000 recipes from old family manuscript books. And then a useful one is Kitchen Measurement Guide. It's a thing about they give you something and say, well, so many fluid ounces, and you think, what the heck's fluid ounces? Well, if you go to the Kitchen Measurement Guide, you'll get a translating into whatever it is, in a teaspoon or a cup or whatever. Then I've got Donna's Recipes. It's the collection of Donna Flood's recipes from a Scots Indian background. Scots a native Indian background, that is, because she's part of the Ponca Indian tribe. I've also got e-texts of recipe books, and in there there's actually a 5-part library, Women's Institute Library of Cookery. So you've got volume 1, which is the essentials of cookery, cereals, bread and hot breads. Volume 2 is milk, butter and cheese, eggs and vegetables. Volume 3 is soup, meat, poultry, game, fish and shellfish. Volume 4 is salads and sandwiches, cold and frozen desserts, cakes, cookies and puddings, pastries and pies. And finally, Volume 5 is fruit and fruit desserts, canning and drying, jam making, jelly making, preserving and pickling, confections, beverages and the planning of meals. And then as well, the other few that I've got there is things Mother used to make, recipes tried and true by the Ladies' Aid Institute of the First Presbyterian Church of Marion in Ohio, and 600 recipes worth their weight in gold, including receipts for cooking, making preserves, perfumery, cordials, ice creams, inks, paints, dyes of all kinds, cider, vinegar, wine, spirits, whiskey, brandy, gin, etc., and how to make imitations of all kinds of liqueurs, together with valuable gauging tables, the collections, testing and improvements on the receipts extending over a period of 30 years. So there you go, quite a nice wee collection of stuff there. Then we have native foods. This is Canadian Native Indian Foods and Nutrition. It's a good wee article on that. Another article on bread from the Macmillan's magazine, 1906. And another from Macmillan's magazine, 1906, was on milk. In fact, milk used to be the reason for most children's deaths at one time. And then breakfast, lunch and dinner. This is, have we always eaten them? Again, this is a video, which a 3-part video from the BBC, so it's actually quite good. I think you'll enjoy that one. And then I've embedded a video for you called What's for Tea. It's from a Scotswoman, and every week she shows you what she's bought from the local grocery store and the butchers, which is fascinating in its own right. And she shows you some of the meals that she's made that week. And from time to time she also gives you a particular how-to recipe for a particular dish. So all in all, a good collection of stuff, and she's got a nice Scottish accent, which I think you'll appreciate. And then the next thing we give you is Cook and Housewife's Manual by Margaret Dodds. Now, Margaret Dodds produced the very first Scottish cookbook, and this is a copy of it. I got it from Google, and I have to say that it's just flicking down to Most approved modern receipts, it calls it. Soups, gravies, there we go. Soups, gravies, sauces, ragouts and made dishes. And for pies, puddings, pastry, pickles and preserves. Also the baking, brewing, and making homemade wines, cordials, etc. The whole illustrated by numerous notes and practical observations of all the various branches of domestic economy by Mrs. Margaret Dodds of the Cookham Inn at St. Ronan's. Now, as it happens, I've also got the same book, but it's, now I was just checking here, I think that was the first edition that I gave you, which is the primary link. But I've also given you let's see. I think it's the 14th edition. I say it's the 11th, either the 11th or the 14th edition. I think it was the 11th edition, but I think I read something in it when I was looking at it which mentioned 14th edition. So I'm not 100% certain, but certainly it's a good number of years later because it's produced in 1862, whereas the first edition was 1828. But again, I think you might enjoy reading that. Then I've got the Scots Culinary Heritage. It's an interesting article by Catherine Brown, which is just an interesting article. I've got Scotland's Larder. This is a video series by the STV, Scottish Television. But I have to say you won't be able to view this one, but I've given you a link to it, and I've explained if you're in the UK you'll be able to watch it. If you're not in the UK and you don't have a means of fooling the system into thinking you're from the UK, you won't be able to watch it. But I thought, well, I'd tell you about it so you can either watch it or, unfortunately, I have to say, well, can't watch it. So. Then I have one saying cooking with eggs. And I think I did this one because I think someone said, I can't cook anything at all. I'm no good. My wife does all my cooking for me, and that's it. And then, believe me, when I was being cared for, one of the women came in as my personal assistant for the day, and I asked her if she could make me something to eat. She said, I'll try, but she said, I don't do any cooking. My husband does it all. He's a chef, as it happens. But she says, I think I can maybe make an egg or something. So I thought to myself, well, cooking with eggs, I thought it's fairly simple. And I thought, I've given you some really good videos to various egg dishes, basically. And I hope by doing that, that those of you who can't cook, can at least cook an egg and do a bit of toast with it or something. And then another video I've got is a Tudor feast at Christmas. A great video to watch. Well, this is, I mean, this is I think it's the 16th century, or 17th century, I think, maybe, from that time, but from Tudor days anyway. And it's amazing what they had to go through to cook this feast, basically. And bearing in mind that they did feasting at various times of the year. So the kind of work they put in, it was like 3 days' work to just get everything prepared and organised for this feast. And what they went through was totally amazing. So I thought you might enjoy watching that. I've also got the Glasgow Cookery book, it's the 14th edition. I've got the English Australian Cookery book. I've also got another thing called The Best Way. The 4th edition of The Best Way, published in the UK around about 1920, it aimed at new housewives Contains mostly recipes together with laundry tips and even a method for preventing kettles from rusting using lard. It says it's printed on inexpensive paper that has been turned a lovely brown colour over the last century. Pages 1 to 5 are missing, containing some of the soup recipes, alas. Author unknown. It says, give the recipes a try. Some of the ingredients may be difficult to obtain these days, like beef skirt, for example, but most will need little adaptation, other than working out the oven temperatures. I can recommend the curried potatoes, page 31, and the blackberry pancakes, page 40, especially. And then I've got Backwoods Cooking by the Scouting magazine, and some of our favourite links to sites where we think you'll get some other good information from. So, that's the food and drink section of the site. So I'm hoping that you'll delve into that, watch some of the videos, enjoy them, and then try some of the simple egg cooking tricks you might do. If you're not a particular cook, that's the way to get started anyway. So I hope you enjoy that. As I say, there's so much on Right to Scotland that you can really enjoy everything. And I must say, the section on preserving foods, well, if you start to try gardening out at this particular time and get a nice crop, you think, oh, no one wants this stuff, but we love it. I wonder how I can preserve it. Well, we've got preservation tips in there, how to preserve and can food for over the winter period. So there you go. Hope you enjoy it, and if you do make that gluty dumpling, make sure and tell me about it and send me a picture.